Welcome to the new episode of the TNT Boys. My name is Kale. I'm joined here with our good friend Sam, our favorite co-host, and you're just your host. And that's me. I'm the host. I'm
the co-host.
Yeah, I know. And today is episode 30, man. We're here. We're building.
Are we here?
Yeah,
we're here.
We finally made it to 30.
30.
Now let's get to a 50 and let's get to 100.
Right.
You seem excited.
I am excited.
All right, buddy. All right.
I got nothing to say to that.
Okay. So today we're going to be talking about NIL of college football. Today's episode is called The New Era of College Football, Understanding NIL. It's an episode that I personally have been wanting to do for a while. We're just going to keep the theme going. Like last week we did the college football picks and winners and losers and predictions. This week we're going to be doing NIL, and because I know NIL is a big topic going around college football at the moment, and something we surprisingly haven't talked about like a whole episode about before.
Yeah.
Kind of disappointed, but I mean, it is what it is. We're here now.
Better late than never.
That is right. Actually, we're not on episode 30. We're actually on episode 29.
29.
Wait. Let me let me check myself here. We are at episode 30. This is episode 30.
Oh. It's episode 30.
It's
not 29. You
episode,
thought it was for a second.
Whoopsies. So
30. One more than 29. 1/30th episode, please. Let's flip it up and get it going on NIL. Or is there anything else we want to talk about first?
No, why don't you go ahead and explain what NIL is?
NIL.
Wait, time out.
Time out on the play for Kale.
There's two things we got to talk about real quick.
Like this. Not like this.
So there's this guy we used to. His name was Big Lenny.
Yeah.
He unfortunately passed away last week of a fatal heart attack.
If anyone knows about the Delray Misfits YouTube channel from Delray Beach, Florida.
Yep.
And Jason Genova, Brad, Andrew, Big Lenny was part of the group, and they're a group of misfits that went to the gym together, basically. Yeah.
And then everybody shit all the time.
Yeah, and they just kind of talk shit and shoot the shit at the gym. And it's Big Lenny was this really big guy who took a lot.
Weird big guy.
Weird big guy. Very weird. Very strange, but funny. And he passed away recently due to heart failure, right?
Yeah, I think that's what they're suspecting.
And he was on all sorts of drugs. I mean, he took a lot of different types of steroids too, because he was also a bodybuilder. And yeah, I can't say I'm surprised because that dude was incredibly unhealthy. But yeah, I thought we needed to mention it today.
And before we get into the video, we have a video to show on screen here. I'll pull it up. And
with the election coming up, we just thought it was fitting.
Yeah, and we want our friends at the Useless Assumption podcast to see our take on politics.
You see, here at TNT Boys, we don't get into politics too much, but we thought we should maybe touch on it a little bit today with the election coming up.
Yes.
With this video that we're about to show you.
So please, enjoy.
Enjoy.
Good morning, everybody. We have a very important announcement. Tim and Eric are running for president. I'm Tim Heidecker running for president, and my running mate will be Eric Werheim.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Let's flip it up. Eric Werheim, president, and Tim Heidecker in a smaller font, in Jokerman font. Tim Heidecker, vice president.
Quick correction on that. Appreciate your statement, and I want to just add to that. That'll be Tim Heidecker, president, and Eric Werheimer as the vice president.
If I could just make an amendment on that. Tim Heidecker, president with a vice, with the vice included, and Eric Wareheim with no vice. It's a full president.
Tim Heidecker running for president, first place. The second in place would be Rick Heidecker.
I'm the number one dog, Eric Wareheim for president, and my sidekick, my little man Tim Heidecker, is VP, vice president, smaller.
That's a pretty serious take we had on that, I think.
Yeah, we don't like bringing politics into the sports stuff, but we do.
But that was we thought we needed to
voice our opinion.
We had to touch on it a little bit, and I think that video speaks volumes.
Yeah. We don't know who's going to be it.
I'm sorry. Tim and Eric are probably my two favorite comedians, and they made that skit a long time ago. And yeah, it's funny.
All right, let's get into this episode. Sam, go ahead and explain what NIL is.
NIL is basically money. It's basically college athletes getting paid.
For a
through
name.
Sponsors.
Yep.
For, they can use their image, their likeness, things like that. And that's what NIL is name, image, and likeness. And they get paid through those avenues. And it's through sponsors and whatnot. And college athletes will make their decision on where they're going to go play and go to school based on what they're going to receive through NIL. And that's essentially what NIL is.
Yeah. So let's do a quick history of college football before NIL. Or what was it like? So
beforehand.
I think everyone pretty much knows that people paid under the table, for one.
Well, just watch the Johnny Manziel documentary.
Oh, yeah.
He was, he was making a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. So, before NIL, they would, I don't know, that there's times that, I don't know how to explain it. Players would do stuff that would get them in trouble because the NCAA is pretty strict on stuff, from signing autographs to doing this or that and the third and stuff. These players can't make their own money like they want to, basically, is what I'm saying. So, yeah. Look at the Ohio State incident that happened with Pryor and those players that, back in the day.
They had to go into the supplemental NFL draft.
Yep.
Because of all that.
Yep. So now they do, which NIL now is basically players, like you said, players are sponsored by local companies, national companies, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they're their own boss at this point.
Yep.
However, it has gotten out of control recently.
Yeah.
Which we all expected to happen.
It's getting very taken advantage of, and then that along with the transfer portal too.
Yeah, and it doesn't help.
They've I feel like transfer portal and NIL have both really changed college football a lot, college sports in general.
So how this came about, though, is, and this is what caused NCAA to go out for a little while, is there was a former player who got upset that he wasn't getting paid for being his image used in a video game.
Mm-hmm.
So then he took them to court, he sued it, and it sparked up this whole NIL deal. I think it was Ed O'Brien or Ed O'Bannon.
I can't remember.
I can't remember his name. I might be saying it right, I might not, but he basically sued NCAA or EA, and it started this whole movement of players getting paid, which, like I said, before they were getting paid under the table.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're going to get into more in the episode and how it's changed the game for the good and the worst and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big push for a little while, and I'm not totally against it, but there's a lot of stuff I could say that I'm really against.
Yeah.
Try to see here in this. Do you think how do you think it expected, or how do you think it affected the sports world in college football and college basketball, just all college sports?
Well, kind of like I said before, it's these college athletes are dictating
Careers.
they're making these decisions based on what they're going to receive through NIL. Whereas before it was literally just, this is where I want to play. You know, who's going to offer me the best scholarship? Really? Now it's NIL is thrown into the mix. And I feel like part of it is good because playing a college sport is kind of like having a full-time job. And so to get compensated for that, now some people would argue, well, they're getting a free education, but not all these college athletes have a full ride scholarship either.
No.
So, you know, to be able to get compensated at least a little bit and get paid, like, is, I'm sure, nice as a college athlete, but at the same time, you're losing some of that integrity of the sport, of like players staying at a certain school, you know, for loyalty rather than just for money. And so that's kind of my take on it.
Nice. Oh, you want to hear my take?
Go for it.
Okay, so I necessarily don't think NIL is bad. However, I think NIL has ruined the game a little bit.
Yeah.
I think NIL should be, I think it's being abused by players. I mean, look at Matthew Solka from UNLV. He's really turned the football world upside down with his decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're letting it get out of place now. And I think the NCAA realizes it, so they're making rules and stuff. I think there should be, like, I guess, a salary cap, like a term or a limit, basically a limit.
Yeah.
That you can spend this much on a player, just like how many scholarships you can give out. And necessarily, again, I don't think it's bad. I just think it's upsetting to see that the college football world is turning into a mini NFL.
Kind of.
If you're going to college, again, I said in the last episode, why do people care about money? Like, dude, get your degree. The school is important. Do what your mama wants you to do and get a degree.
Do it for mama.
But there's kids out there are just going to do it for the money.
Yep.
And there's kids that don't even get that money because they're not recognized as a good player. Mm-hmm. You know, I think if you're making over $1 million as a football player, you don't need no scholarship. That money is paid. The NIL has paid for your scholarship. And you can't tell me or fight me on it and saying that my scholarship is worth over this amount of money when yet you're getting paid over $1 million of money. It has no chance of equaling that. So don't come at me about saying that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. NIL just kind of gets me a little heated sometimes. Again, There's a lot of pros and there's a lot of cons.
Yeah. It all depends how you look at it, but it's definitely a controversial topic for sure.
Do you think, though, like, you know, say, like, oh, I'm this great player and I go into college and what if I don't make the NFL? I have something to fall back on. That's just easy, quick.
Well, yeah, that's why you need that education,
Yeah.
that degree. And that's what should be the driving force behind it.
Which I think that's what the NCAA is trying to do.
And I feel like that's kind of getting lost, though, with the NIL.
Which I think that's what the NCAA is doing now. That's why they took out.
They're pushing NIL over.
No, the signing day, like they got rid of it.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
doing the financial aid.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just a lot of trial and error.
It puts a little more incentive back into the education side of things for sure, which, again, you know, the chances of making it to the NFL are very, very low.
Yeah.
So that's why they want to put put back into the education side of things and making sure they're staying for academic purposes as well to get their degree. Because NFL is not guaranteed.
Do you think NIL has really changed the way we recruit and stuff?
Yeah, I think so, because it's something you have to factor in. Like, you can't just, like, it used to be when you were recruiting high school players and scouting high school players and trying to get players to come play for you. You think of play time. You think of the school itself, academic prestige. You think of coaching situation and winning and, the chance of winning a championship. Now you throw NIL into the mix. How much can you pay them? How much are they going to get paid through NIL? And so it really does change it, because, like, you can offer them all these great things, but if another school is going to offer them more money and maybe not as much as the other things, a kid might be more likely to, go to the school with less of the other stuff, but they're going to get paid more. So they're going to look at that as the better opportunity and the better option.
I kind of think that with the NIL, this is what I like about it is I feel like now college football is spread out.
Yeah, I feel like
with transfers and recruiting, and I feel like a lot of these teams, like, I could be a really good player and I'll go to Ball State.
It could be more balancing out a little more.
Yeah.
Like with the talent.
Because you're not seeing kids that are really good football players going to just straight to Alabama, Clemson,
Georgia, all
so
those,
on and so forth.
Yeah.
Now you see like a team like, again,
yeah.
Nebraska. We're going to use Nebraska as an example again. We got all these players that came out of the transfer portal, and now I don't know. Maybe I won't use Nebraska. Let's use Colorado.
Yeah.
Colorado's
a perfect example.
Prime example. No pun intended with prime.
Prime.
He looked in the transfer portal as much as he could, which I kind of think it bit him in the ass a little bit. But he has done it to where he's gotten a lot of players out. He offered them what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knows that with him being there, he's able to get that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And no questions about it.
Players are going there because he's the coach.
That too.
And because of what he can offer them for NIL. And that's changed it. Like, Colorado you didn't really talk about him much before he went there. Not recently, anyway.
Only time people talked about him is how bad they were.
Yeah.
And then here and there, you'll hear about how their team back in the day beat Nebraska and stuff, and which is, it's typical sports team history.
Yep. Talking about the good old days. But yeah, it's exactly. He's super influential on these kids' decisions on wanting to go to Colorado for sure.
Now, if I was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, and this is my personal opinion, and if I was in it, because during my time and your time, if we were playing football and we were getting recruited, we didn't have NIL, a big thing.
Nope.
Personally, what I would do now, I would still look at the facilities, the stadium, academics, the whole 9 yards.
I think as a student athlete, you have to look at everything else before NIL.
Yeah, and that's why
honestly,
I still that's where I'm thinking things are getting a little messed up.
I think that's where these kids' priorities are getting messed up. Because your priorities should be how good are the facilities, how good is the academic prestige of this college, staff,
coaching staff is a big one.
Winning. Is it a winning program? Do they win? Do they have a shot at winning a championship? Play time. Do you have a shot to play, or do you have a chance to grow as an athlete and get better? These are, in my opinion, I'm old school. You're old school, and we look at those things before. How much money am I going to make? Because you're a collegiate athlete. You're not professional yet. So really, money is the last thing you think about. But that's just my perspective on it. And I know that's yours as well.
Yeah. What are some like concerns about equity among athletes in different
equity,
yes, about equity among athletes in different sports and schools. Again, maybe that brings into the what I said earlier about how diverse it is now.
Yeah.
And how spread out.
Yeah, exactly. It's more balanced out. You see some of these really talented athletes and talented players. Again, they're not all going to Alabama. They're not all going to Oklahoma. They're not all going to Georgia and LSU and all these
Oh, dude, I have a
big-time SEC schools, you know.
There's a prime example in my head. There's a team. It's not just Colorado, but there's another team. They're seeing success. It's these
Right
small, like these smaller schools, like Illinois.
Yeah.
Let's bring Illinois into this. Look
Yeah.
at Indiana. You got the right coach in there.
Yeah.
Brett Bielema, great coach.
Yeah.
And his defense coordinator, great coach. Offensive coordinator, great coach. Facilities getting better, but not great. I hate to admit it, but I mean
Hell, even Rutgers is doing good this
Yeah.
year, even though we just beat them. They
By a
4-1.
touchdown.
4-1.
But you know, like look at the quarterback for Illinois. They had a guy who went from Ole Miss, I think it was, to Illinois.
Yeah.
He was looking for playing time, and I'm sure they offered him a good deal. And look where he's at. He's doing pretty good. I hate to
Yeah.
admit it, but
I hate it because I didn't like him in the Nebraska game when they beat us, but I hated watching him. It seemed like he complained about everything, but
yeah, which a lot of people do.
a lot of quarterbacks
It's
do.
it's just the most we've ever seen out of a player.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
no, I think you're right though with that is it's just more spread out and balanced now throughout the whole nation.
yeah, and I like it.
Yeah. I like it. I think a positive about it is it could make for a more balanced college football experience, like just more competitive. You know, you're going to see some of these smaller schools and some of these historically not as good teams maybe start to be a little more competitive because they're getting better players because of the NIL. So it'll be interesting to see in the coming years.
Tulane is a prime example too.
The Green Wave.
They are getting good.
Yeah.
Pretty good small school, but getting good.
Yeah. Northern Iowa. I mean, for FCS, they're pretty good.
South Dakota State, North Dakota,
North Dakota State.
Yep.
Yeah. Minnesota.
So considering of, you know, let's look at the fan reactions. Consideration of how fans perceive NIL. How has it changed the view of college sports?
Very much so. Especially your old heads. Your old heads that are like, you know, they're so against it.
Like Nick Saban. That's
Your Nick
Let's be
Saban.
honest, he pretty much retired because of that.
Or yeah, basically he did. Because he's an old school coach. And even just like these old head fans, like they're so used to the old school college football tradition, and you know, rightfully so. But times are changing, and I can tell most of them don't like it.
You got to change with the times, or the times is going to get you,
Yeah,
which it has.
and you know, and then there's people like us who are kind of in the middle.
Yeah,
And then there's people that are totally for it, and those are going to be a lot of your younger people.
of course they like to get paid,
Yeah.
and you know,
A lot of your current college athletes are going to be for it because they're the ones receiving it.
it helped bring back NCAA football. I'll be honest.
That's a positive about it. That is a fun game.
Because
That's the best football game I played in a long time.
Madden's is not Madden anymore. EA doesn't care.
Madden is just
A whole nother story.
yeah, that's a whole other story. It's the same game every year. It wasn't changing, and it's not exciting. College football is actually kind of exciting.
Yes. Again, like I said last episode, dude, I would rather watch college football than NFL.
Yeah, honestly, me too. I think NFL is a little bit easier to follow.
NFL is more a political league.
True. Yeah. It's just more, there's less teams. It's just easier to follow, but college football is more enjoyable. I will agree.
So let's debate on this fairness here. Are NIL deals equitable, or do they favor certain programs and athletes?
I think they definitely favor certain athletes for sure. I mean, what do you think? I think your star players, your big name players they're going to get better deals, obviously.
But again, yeah, I agree with that. But again, it brings me back to saying, okay, here's Farmer John. Farmer John is a kid out of the small town in Nebraska, Stratton, Nebraska. Played 8-man football. Played pretty damn good. And say that he goes to University of Nebraska and plays the same position as this star athlete. Well, not really star, kind of, we'll say, mediocre. And does a little bit better, gets a little bit more playing time. But that kid doesn't, he's a walk-on. That's the catch.
Which one's the walk-on?
Farmer John.
Okay.
Farmer John plays pretty well, practices hard, pretty everything, but he doesn't have a scholarship. He has to earn it, which I agree, and I still will agree.
But the guy is competing against is scholarship.
Has scholarship. And
is he from a bigger school? Like, is he from, like, Omaha or whatever?
Okay, we'll say that, yeah.
Yeah.
So say he's getting paid over amount of money, has a scholarship. I'm saying is if you have made this amount of money, and yet you got this one kid who's busting his ass every day, practice in and out, game in and out, still has to earn that scholarship. I think that kid has paid over or is getting paid over amount of money should give that scholarship to the player. Because a lot of these people can't afford scholarships. It's not cheap. College ain't cheap.
Yeah, that's a sticky situation right there.
I mean, I think that's a good take on it.
That's a very good take.
I know people.
And that's
you know
something
what's sad. Sorry, cut off. But you know what's sad? People are going to debate me on it.
Well, that's something that you don't really you haven't really heard. You don't really hear that take a lot from people.
No, it's a hot take. Nobody talks about it. Like, why don't we talk about? Let's give. Okay, hot take. If you are a college player and you're getting paid amount of money to be a star player, and you have a scholarship versus a kid that has been working their ass off, that kid was working his ass off, who's a walk-on, should get a scholarship, or should get the scholarship that the star player has because he's getting paid over amount of money.
NIL. Yeah.
That's a personal opinion. You can take it as you want, but I'm sorry. I feel like I'm right on this. And I hate to say that, but it's just a good take on it.
Don't double down on it, man. Don't apologize for it.
I'm being serious about it.
Like, if that's what you truly believe, double down on it, man. Don't be sorry about it, because it's a good. I think it's a reasonable take.
I think
honestly,
I know people are going to debate on me with it.
Oh yeah,
and I don't care what you have to say. I'm gonna stick with that take.
At
the end of the day, you like it or not, I feel like I'm right.
I mean, you feel real strongly about it, and no one's going to change your mind.
I've been saying this for.
They can argue with you, but they're not going to change your mind. Yeah.
It's if we're talking about fairness,
I'm not going to argue with you on it, because I actually think it's a good take.
If we're talking about fairness, that's fair. I'm sorry.
I feel like it is. Yeah.
It's
just tough how.
It's tough to explain.
It's tough. I guess. Well, it's tough how they would go about that, though, because that can be spread. That can be going on around the whole team, not just a case to case.
Yeah.
Like one position thing. Like, there's going to be a surplus of players that are walk-ons, and there's going to be a surplus of players that are that are scholarship NIL kids.
Perfect example I just thought of. You're DJ out of Florida State. Dude, you suck fucking balls. I'm sorry. You're getting paid over this amount of money NIL. Give up your scholarship. You don't need it. You don't need it. You never needed it since Clemson.
He might need it, because who knows if he's going to go into the NFL now.
But that brings back into, like, you got your degree.
Yeah.
You got your degree to fall back on.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. NIL can kind of irritate me.
It's so one side or the other. It's crazy.
Okay, here's another one. Do you think there's a potential for exploitation? So, like, exploiting it.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's already kind of started.
I mean, look at Matthew Sulka.
Yeah. Sluka.
We'll have to bring Jared on for this, because he's a big UNLV fan, because he's from Las Vegas.
Yeah, I think that was the first major instance of it being exploited.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not getting what I was promised through
And then I quit.
NIL, so I'm going to quit.
And then I quit.
I'm going to use my red shirt or whatever he said.
And then it started a fucking steamroll a little bit.
Yeah. And you've kind of seen that pop up more. So I feel like the exploitation has kind of already begun in some sense.
Yeah. Yeah. What might college football look like in the next 5 to 10 years with NIL in play?
You know, I feel like they're going to continually come up with ways to better regulate it.
I think so too. I think they're going to
I
go.
think they have to. Otherwise, they're just going to be walked all over by these spoiled ass brats.
Yeah.
That's what they're looking like right now, is spoiled brats.
Exactly. Spit your game.
Like, you're getting paid. You're literally getting paid to play a college sport, and you're going to complain about it and quit when you don't get exactly what you want.
Exactly.
Now, I get it if they were promised it or if it was whatever, but at the end of the day, dude, just shut up and play. Like, you are getting paid. Again, you are getting paid. However much money it is really null at this point. You're getting paid as a college athlete. Something that's never been done before. Like, just do it, man. Like, quit being a whiny little bitch, man. But again, that's why I'm saying, like, they're gonna get walked all over, and they got to continually come up with better ways to regulate it. I just think that's the only way they're gonna be able to continue on.
Oh, were you done talking?
No, I'm done.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I thought it just sounded like you were going to keep going.
The floor is yours.
Well, I mean, I've already said my piece. I think they're going to change it a lot in the next 5-10 years, and I hope they get a grip with it. And fast.
Yeah.
Again, necessarily don't think NIL is a bad idea, but again,
right.
And I'm going to fall back on it.
It just needs to be. It needs to be properly regulated. Properly regulated, so these guys.
Which I don't understand. Why didn't the NCAA think of that at the first place? Like right. Why? Why didn't you think about that, NCAA?
It's just there's a lot of things. I mean, it's easy to miss things, you know.
And I get that.
So, you know, that's why you continually try to improve upon something when you first start it. So, we'll see, man. It's interesting. It's definitely interesting.
Yes, and I agree. Trying to think what else. What are some things that should be allowed for NIL? So like what kind of sponsorships? Like do you think some sponsorships are ridiculous? Do you think that they should be able to do like these big name companies like a insurance commercial or the shoe commercial I could see.
Right, like
a car
shoes,
commercial I could see.
Sporting, like restaurants.
But if you were a school president, what would be some commercials you would not allow? Because you got to think you're using your image for the school itself and the player. I think as a player you have to think about how would this look and how would this perceive with the kids.
Right.
Because you got kids looking up to you.
Yep. You got to definitely. I think for your own image, you have to pick wisely. Who you're gonna go through, like your sponsors, because. Yeah, like you don't want to be promoting something
could be bad.
That's bad, or that's traditionally looked at as bad, like alcohol or something. You're gonna have kids looking up to you. But if it's like a health, like I think like anything health supplement related or food, sporting, like athletic wear, workout equipment, training stuff.
We haven't seen it yet, but like beer commercials, I know that's going to happen one
right.
of these days.
At some point.
It's going to happen.
Like they do it for NFL. But yeah, like you gotta choose wisely, and then I mean the big name companies, I mean, if they're the ones reaching out to these players about doing NIL deals, then go for it, I guess.
Yeah. Personally, I don't really have a big problem, but it's like the bad stuff is what I have the problem.
Right, because again, like you said, it's you're you're the face of your whole community, you know,
and the school and
the school, and then like you said, there's young children that are looking up to you, man, and you got to think about the kids. You always do.
Now, when it comes to recruiting, do you think there's not really much of a loyalty there anymore if you go to commit to school?
It's
do you feel like more people are just going for the money?
It's definitely dwindling, the loyalty.
Yeah. And
Like,
tradition. I think tradition is ruined.
It's not as
a little bit.
And we kind of already talked about this, but yeah, I feel like the NIL has ruined loyalty to a point because they don't care about that. They care about the money only.
Yeah. It's sad. Other than that, I mean, I think this is a pretty good little quick episode.
Yeah.
I have to edit a little bit, but that's all right.
Yeah. That was good.
Well, we're definitely gonna have to do another NIL or something again.
Yeah, we will. For sure.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead, Tim. Close us out.
Go and check out all of Agent Life Media Group podcasts. Useless Assumptions, Touching Base, Talking Dirt, TNT Boys. Fuck those guys.
Yeah, we suck. We terrible.
Yeah. And for your viewing pleasure, check us out on all social media platforms.
Yeah, we're on everything. TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. We're there. Everywhere. We're always improving. We're always getting better. We're always making things better.
Yes.
Yes. One better, please.
Okay, peace out. Bye.